Good morning, fellow Cameroonians, both Anglophones and Francophones. Today, I have breaking news to deliver to you that some people might have already heard. Two of the founding members of the ADF, Benedict Kuah and Pascal Kiki, who carries the title, Benedict Kuah carried the title of the chief. He's a head of the Liberation Council, the person who is in direct command, number two of Ayabacho, in the structure of the ADF, have been arrested in the United States of America. I think we all know the founding members of the ADF, including Ayamba, who is in South Africa as well. But these two have been arrested in the United States of America and are facing charges that has the possibility of them saving a life imprisonment without parole. I will give you the details of the case. We have had the documents from the American government. We had delayed to inform you because we were trying to get the specifics of the case, the content of the case, which was not available in the press statement released by the United States of America. But thank God to some of our contacts in the United States, we have been able to understand more about the case, and we have specifics to give you that you can only hear from us. It has been about a couple of months ago when we informed our people that we had had conversation with members of the Trump's administration who came here to meet me in Edmonton to talk about their posture vis-a-vis Ambazonian struggle and their new policy heading forward. They were very impressed about our stance in PRAP and what we are pushing for one Cameroon, two people. So for the most part, we knew that they are going to be aggressive towards ADF members and AGOVC members in the United States, something we have been warning for 3 years and something we had even predicted. I've told you people, we were expecting this from the Norway government, that an indictment or an international arrest warrant will be issued to all those who have command and possibility, because there are possibility that those who were supporting the ADF after war crimes were committed, after Amnesty International called for the arrest of actions to be taken against the ADF, those who continue to support them, sponsor them, when they knew that these crimes were being committed, after public execution was done by the ADF on the ground with video available for everybody, after you know all these things, we warn about all these things, you continue to support them. You do not denounce them. You do not resign from that organization. Today, the chickens are coming home to roast. So this is great news for those who seek for justice, those who seek to end chaos and the attacks against our own people that comes from the Ambazonian struggle. Our struggle that is ours, the people's struggle, should be celebrating about this arrest. Pascal Kiki, as you know, has spent time and time, every show he has, calling me traitor, insulted me, saying all type of things. Today, he is arrested for crimes he committed. I'm going to give you the details of those crimes, but I want to bring this big announcement. Knowing the landscape of Ambazonia, that these individuals to continue to perpetrate crimes against our people, because they are not focused on liberating our people, to continue to focus on the crimes against our people, they are going to be deceiving their supporters that this is not even true, that this didn't happen. You remember when Ayabacho was arrested and indicted, they came out and was telling the public and their supporters that it was a lie. Ayabacho is going to be released. And I told them, Ayabacho will never see the light of day. These two individuals, they are gone. Consider them like dead, because the Donald Trump administration is not Joe Biden. And the process that they have started, even if another administration comes to America, which we have 4 more years, is not going to happen. There is a likelihood that Benedict Kuah, who is a naturalized citizen in the United States, and Pascal Kiki as well, might end up in Yaoundé. Donald Trump is somebody who is going to do this thing and say, okay, I'll do it, and then I go and argue in court. It is a possibility, because they are probably eligible, according to the policies of the United States of America at this moment in time, to be deported. Emmanuel Immaculate, whom I warn, you have been there. Okay, those crimes being committed by your group, you know them, You see them on social media. Even if the group was lying to you, you have a responsibility to condemn them. You have a responsibility to reject those crimes. As you people know, I was once a spokesperson of that group. And I wasn't a spokesperson in silence. I was outspoken about the conduct and what I stood for. But that is not the subject of today, but I'm going to mention a little bit about that because I know what is going on and I can testify what the group is all about. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to play a video from a TV station in the United States which have announced this for the sake of those who are in ground zero to know that this is true. Eventually, there will be more and more information that will come that we can prove to you as well, but I'm going to share this information. I'm going to share some of the documents in court already for people to know. So but let's start with this video so that those who are on the ground will not be deceived by these people that this is a fake news. So Pascal, Kiki, and Benedict Kuah have been arrested in the United States.
A federal grand jury indicting 2 Minnesota men in connection to a series of overseas kidnapping, bombing, and killings. Naturalized U.S. citizens Benedict Kuah and Pascal have been charged with organizing killings in their native country, the Republic of Cameroon. Cameroon is located in eastern Africa, that's next to Nigeria. According to the federal indictment, the two held leadership roles in a separatist militia seeking to create an independent country in Cameroon. The indictment says the defendants began the operation in 2017 with several bombings and dozens of murders. The DOJ further alleges Kuah and Wangbi raised online to support money with their operations.
Okay. It's important that you hear because we know how these people operate. They will go and tell their supporter that it is fake news. So I want our people to hear those information. So before I say anything, I want to already say this is a tribute to Kemende, Senator Kemende, a very outspoken critic of the regime that was assassinated by the ADF as a result. He is part of the reason why these two people have been arrested, according to the documents and informations that we have received from our contacts and we have gathered about this case. So it's a tribute to him. When we came out, we talked about this issue. I think the evidence are plenty about the ADF responsibility of his assassination. His car was recovered from an ADF camp. I also want to pay tribute for this announcement to PRAP Chairman, who was assassinated in front of his wife in his compound in Bamenda. He was the quarter head of Musang in Bamenda, somebody I brought into the network of the ADF. He was my coordinator in Bamenda. He was the first member of PRAP. When we came to have meeting with our international partners, he was the first people in attendance in those meetings and helped shape my idea, my ideology. He was really my number 2 on ground zero, and he was assassinated simply because he provided a picture for me to broadcast about the death of an ADF commander, General Rambo, because he gave me a picture and I posted the picture. And Ayabacho did not have the picture at that time of the burial of Rambo. He ordered that this man should be assassinated because he gives me too much information. He's the one who is making me powerful, according to him. And his advice to the soldier have always been not to burn my house. ADF wanted them to burn my family property. He was the main person who rejected that. And basically for standing up for what we believe. And he was assassinated in broad daylight in front of his wife by the ADF. And the person who assassinated him, who pulled the trigger, General JC, is no more today. So I want to pay tribute to some of these victims. So I'm going to go to the details of this indictment so that you don't be deceived. This underscores why we must stand firmly for justice and against extremism. Policy that are extreme, we must all reject them. As some of you know, I once served as a spokesperson and even held the title of the Deputy Defense Chief of the ADF during my time with these people in the Ague of Sea. I consistently have cautioned against any turn towards extremism. In my publication and my advice to our people on engagement as an activist, I've always cautioned about turning towards extremism or extreme method and always call for caution. Many people within the ADF, during my time with them and my time when I was not with them, saw me almost like a problem. They used to call me, I want to be, this is not a pastor issue. And they used to mock me when I bring caution. For me, when I insist that we must be humane, follow principle, be proportional, I was insulted. They insulted me and refused all my advice. And when I left them, it even became worse. So the crimes they have committed between 2017 and 2024, basically in that file. So today, we see the consequences of their choices. Pascal Kiki, who was in charge of the ADF logistic, and Benedict Kuah. Pascal Kiki was charged of logistic of weapons, and Benedict Kuah, who is not just the founding member of the ADF, but was the head of their council. That means the people who actually run their affairs is Benedict Kuah. You have the other ones. I don't need to be talking about their structure in South Africa as well. They have been arrested in the United States for crimes committed against our own people. One of such crimes hits home. It hits really close to my heart. You remember the targeting and the assassination of the quarter head of Mosan, PRAP Chairman. I want to bring that in your mind. So, simply because he shared information with me, that was what triggered his assassination. That is, they have warned him several times, but simply because he shared information with me, he was assassinated. So, our community should understand this, and they should know this very well. Crimes are not propaganda. Crimes are not just words. They are real things that have happened on the ground in front of our own eyes. So let this stand as a testament. This arrest of these two individuals, I'll get into the details of the charges. Let this stand as a testament that those who mock the path of justice, of sanity, using cyberbullying, drawing cross on the face of people, accusing people of blackleg without any reason, those who stand and mock us will and are now facing the price of their actions. We must remain committed to this struggle that protects our people, not turn them into victims. Those who seek and those who push for strategy and policy that target our people, we must continually condemn them, even for the sake to protect the integrity of our struggle. Those who insist of turning our struggle into a campaign of fear, using terrorist tactics like the ADF in Gozang, rather than a struggle for justice and dignity, they are now facing the consequences. You saw the twist and turn, how these people intimidated our population, even asked for innocent people in Gozang to be killed, just to use to terrorize and control the population. So this should be a message to everyone. Most of them have run away already. Who once turned a deaf ear? When we advise against lockdown, they insult us. They say, go and stop them. Send your dark forces to stop them. Their ear did not hear our warning. We must never, as a group, as a people, we should never sacrifice the safety of our people and the trust our people has given us to speak on their behalf. We should never trade that for the sake of extreme tactics. It doesn't work. It is counterproductive and it doesn't work. So it's time for all Ambazonian activists who did not hear me to understand that the real liberation comes from protecting our communities. Because when you don't, those people who are involved, who are supposed to lead them, will be arrested. Liberation does not come from terrorizing our people. This is a moment for justice of the victims of the ADF, and a reminder that we must always stand on the side of truth, humanity. It's a very simple principle. When we say that they come and tell us this is war, this is not a child's play, it's not a walk in the park, this is war. No blinking. No blinking in the prison. So, I'll get into the details. I know people are waiting to get the details of the case, but I must sound this loud and clear. It's no joking. All Ambazonian activists listening to me, you listen, I know. This is a moment that should be a wake-up call for you personally. Maybe most of you, it's too late. For years, throughout the struggle, some of us have warned that imposing extreme measures on our own people, like forcing lockdown, unnecessary lockdown, that punishes our own people and women, and it still happens today, only hurts our society. When you know that these things are hurting our society, you still go ahead to do them. Or sending fighters to go and intimidate our people, shooting live bullet. We have seen a lot of cases. Kidnap our civilians in the name of liberation tax. You remember in General Lucifer of Sako was using live bullet, shooting people on the leg because they are violating Ghost Town. Those are all crimes. Go and shoot people in the market because you want to send to intimidate them to obey Ghost Town. It is wrong. I have always said there are alternatives. So this news for today is proof of what happens when you ignore warning to those who choose the path of extremism as a method of liberation. So I'm going to go to the seriousness of the crime, because you have to understand exactly what they have been indicted. It means that they have found reasons and they have already been charged in court. Number one, they have, both of them, these two cases, faces up to 8 federal indictment. So these are federal crimes by the Donald Trump's administration. Number one that they face is conspiracy to provide support to terrorists. So through this case, the administration of Trump wants to label the whole ADF as an organization, as a terrorist organization. They're also accused of providing material support that results to the death. You understand, a death already have happened, according to the court case file. They are also charged of conspiracy of kidnapping for under the U.S. Constitution, Article 956 of kidnapping, Kemende and many other people. Number 3, the conspiracy to use weapons of mass destruction, the use of IED. That is one of the cases that they have been accused of. Also, substantive counts tied to actual bombings and killings. So these are the charges that the two of them face. These charges are one of the harshest crimes in the United States criminal law. If they are convicted of material support that resulted to death, which we know they are, the maximum penalty is life imprisonment. That means they prove that they have caused the death of somebody. It's life imprisonment they will have. For conspiracy to use weapon of mass destruction, IED, against civilian, the mandatory minimum is life imprisonment if it results to death. So the mandatory, that means the judge will give them life imprisonment if their action result to death of people with the use of IED. Okay, that is for the use of IED. I'm not sure whether there is a proof of that, but the strength. Let us look at the strength of the government case that we have seen and that we have discussed with people from that side. The DOG, according to their press release, already shows the evidence that goes beyond financial records. which they have financial records. So they allegedly held leadership rule in the ADF based on their devices, that means investigation that they have found in their phones, not just on social media noise. The DOG claims, these are public information, claims that they're directly involved in operations from Minnesota. That means they were controlling ADF from Minnesota. They communicated with co-conspirators on the ground. That means they were in communication with people on the ground who carry out those actions, which means they might be involvement in Cameroon government. Specific attacks tied them. They have specific attacks that have proof that they were tied there. Including the bombing of the Mount Cameroon race, that they were involved in operational matters of that particular case. They also have a case of the bombing in Nkambe that resulted to the death of a 15-year-old girl. But we know that that attack was carried out by Ngala Gerard's group. But Ayabacho claimed responsibility. Arata died, name up. We also have the kidnapping of Senator Kemende amongst the crimes that they are facing, and the public execution in Gozang. All the crimes and activity that are cited in their indictment happens between 2017 and 2024. So, on our discussion with the clerk which we have called, the prosecutor said that they have WhatsApp, they have Signal, they were chatting Signal and emails also. They have financial transfer, they have witness testimony from Cameroon. There are people from Cameroon who have testified, linking these two people and the ADF to those specific attacks. The case is very strong against them based on what we have heard. So, if the defense argues political persecution or lack of direct involvement, if they can go and make that case, the chances for them to succeed is very, very weak. It's very weak because of the physical evidence, witness testimony. So, the DOG in America indictment means that they have provided this evidence already and they have been vetted by a grand jury. That means multiple people have sat down and looked at the evidence that the DOG in America have provided and agree. That is why it is called an indictment. When you are indicted, it means that they have sit down, look at the evidence and indicted you. So the likelihood of them to be sentenced is very high because they have solid electronic and financial evidence. Lower if evidence were depending only on witness testimony, which the defense could attack as being biased or coerced, we could have think that maybe it's a weak case. But now we know that they have electronic evidence. Probably they will seek to get more evidence from Ayabacho's phone because Ayabacho is a main head of the group. So the potential of them to be sentenced is very high. According to our information based on our conversation with those people in America, over 80%. So if convicted on all the crimes that they are being charged, they will face life imprisonment without parole. That means they will never be allowed to speak out again. So if convicted on lesser counts, because we know that there are some cases there that we don't believe that they committed, even though Ayabacho claim responsibility. For easy just conspiracy without proof of any death, which we know, they will face at least minimum 20 to 30 years imprisonment based on our conversation with experts in America. If they plead guilty to avoid trial, they might negotiate minimum based on experience of an expert we discussed in America, at least 15 years. They cannot give them below 15 years imprisonment. So even if they go and agree with the American Justice Department that they are guilty, they want to make a plea deal, they will get minimum 15 to 20 years in prison in exchange. So this have a big political dimension because the United Nations treats terrorism and financing and leadership from the United States soil very severely, as Donald Trump have stated out, even if the violence happened overseas. Minnesota has a record of tracking and being very harsh on people who support terrorism in America, including Palestinians. So, those individuals, especially in this case, We have saw the case of some Al-Shabaabs also that are also involved. It's not only them, not only Ambazonian. We still have some activists who support Al-Shabaab in America who have also been arrested and also indicted. So, given that death have resulted in these people's their activity, the judge must always side with the maximum penalty, life imprisonment or death death penalty. So this is what they face. They face life imprisonment or even death penalty. So the bottom line is conviction is high. They will be convicted based on what we have heard. They will be convicted. If the prosecutor have, since the prosecutor already have digital evidence from their phone and other evidence and witness testimony from Cameroon, with the open source information that we all know. So life imprisonment if they are found guilty of something that leads to the death of anybody, and we know that evidence that are there, they will face death penalty, life imprisonment, or even 20 to 30 years imprisonment is considered their age. So they are all counts. If you look at everything, our people should expect that if they are wise and they humble themselves and admit their crimes, they will get at least 15 years minimum, each of them. So they are gone. These are family people. They have gone and lived their wife, but they have left a lot of people broken. The wife of Patanu is still in Bamenda. So, in conclusion, from my paper that I'm reading in front of me so that I don't mistake, the DOG have proved that they have found direct operation leading to the death of people on the ground by these individuals and by the ADF. So they will face life imprisonment based on the charges. That means now the US is going in for life imprisonment for the two of them without parole. So that is a federal crime that they are facing. So fellow Ambazonians, you have heard what has happened, and we have won this type of activities, and these are the consequences. The chickens are coming home to roost. These people seek to cover their crime by making accusation against other people, but the evidence is there for everybody to see. The public execution in Gozang that was announced by Lucas Asu, all of the members of the ADF, all of them, who have used cyberbullying to suppress and attack adversary, use Ambazonian forces to go after political assassination. I also want to mention that there is a case that is very close to my heart. It's a case of one Bible translator in Batibo who was killed as a direct order. I know that Iringwa sent order to King Commando. I have those records because I talked to the soldiers who were involved in those things, and they gave me that Iringwa in the United States of America who was working with Sako. I don't have evidence of Sako, but I know that Iringwa, on behalf of Sako, they asked for John Tanjo to be assassinated in Batibo. He was my informant, providing me information about what was going on. Not only so, he was also providing information for some other international actors, and some of those informations was being presented in the United Nations. So he was very helpful. But Sako, because they thought that he was my agent in Batibo, he was supporting me, they asked for him to be assassinated, and he was assassinated by the TTA. His case also, they should know that those who call for his death, those who kill him, will face justice. People should also know that those Cameroon government officials who have participated in war crimes, they also will face justice if they are not careful. If Cameroon, Paul Atanganji, Ngala Gerard, who is also involved in this war, and all those who are prosecuting this war in Cameroon, if they don't hurry to solve this war and have a negotiated settlement, the West is going to come after Cameroon government officials and officials in Cameroon who have invited Cameroon military in their villages in the name of fighting against Ambazonia, and use their Cameroon soldiers to go and kill people who were against chieftaincy problem, political assassination, and all those people. Konda Titus, who uses the Cameroon military to go after innocent civilians, tagging them as working with Ambazonian so-called terrorists according to his word. We know numerous of those cases, including a case of Success Nkongo's own cousin in Boya. So we know of all people who are using this struggle to use their advantage in the position they have had through this struggle to target civilians on both sides, there will be justice for everybody. There will be accountability. We will make sure that there is justice, there is accountability. We warn people, they don't take our warning lightly, and they see the result. They say, these people were spending their time to attack me. Fighting me for what? For nothing. When you fight somebody that has God, somebody who stand for the truth, somebody who stand for our people. Look at all the cases. They arrested Senator Regina Mundi. I called for prisoner release. I asked that this thing should be political. They went behind my back and took money. In every twist and turn, before I left that group, we all know. So Donald Trump's administration seek to label the ADF and the AGOV-C to an extension because they are the same thing as a terrorist organization through this case. If they are convicted, the ADF will be labeled as a terrorist organization. Something Ambazonians have already done so. So those who have hurt our people with excessive lockdown, we come out and we tell the people that when you lock down, do you know it stops people from going to the hospital? What measures do you put? I will even insist that even though there is a lockdown, if people are coming with bike, they should identify themselves. They carry children. They say, no, that one not be church. They say, no man, no go. Wait till you be the do for outside. They must kill you. To all Ambazonian soldiers on the ground, this should be a warning, a wake-up call for you. You cannot go and commit crime, use excessive force on civilians, thinking that because you are doing so for liberation, it is right, or you have a free pass. There will be justice and accountability for you on the ground. I promise you. Did Ayabacho and Benedict knew that there will be this day is coming? No. When we went there to Canada to negotiate, we had an opportunity to settle this problem. I'll come to that later. They rejected it because they thought that it was going to stop their business on the ground, their petrol business and all those things, and that Sisiko Ayoktabi is going to come out and be popular. So for personal reasons, they sabotaged this struggle. And we came out of Canada and I told you people that the international community sees us as the belligerent factions. And Cameroon took that opportunity to make a case that these groups do not represent the interests of our people. They are just power mongers. They are bloodthirsty individuals who just want to kill. And they have succeeded because of them. And it is maybe true because nobody can succeed against you if you are honest. People can call you a thief. If you're not a thief, there will never be an evidence. People can accuse you of terrorists, but if you are not actually committing terrorism, they will have no evidence. So everybody who is in the AGOV-C, Mama Wali, remember very well, when they came and they were talking about this bombing of Boya, that they have made the attack against Boya, I asked Ayamba, is this action carried out by the ADF? Is it really, tell me, did the ADF really carry out this attack? Because as a spokesperson, before I go out there to say it, and he said yes, he even showed me the bomb. The bomb used in the attack in Boya carries the name of Ayabacho. They wrote the name of Ayabacho on that bomb. And I tell them, but oh boy, why will you do that in the public? They said, no, we were just targeting we used only to target Cameroon military. So I won it, and at that time they were insulting me that, oh, you won't do it. So we know what has happened. We know all those who used to mock at us when we say that we must be restrained in our actions. This war is to free our people. Actions against this war must be legitimate. Even in war, our people have the right of self-defense. That does not mean you can go and attack civilians. Even Cameroon military, you cannot just go to attack Cameroon military because you want to take weapons, and then the motivation of that your weapons is to go and use to kidnap people. That will be a crime. If you are fighting for our people, listen to me, and this is an advice to all Ambazonian soldiers who carry arms down there, regardless of what we say or the stance of PRAP. You cannot go to carry operations or justify your actions if you don't have an end. If you are fighting for independence and you see that independence is not attainable, then you continue to fight. You are doing so for something else. That is why we must sit down and say, why are we fighting? If we were fighting indeed to protect our people, right? Our houses were being burned, villages were being burnt, civilians were being targeted by the Cameroon military, and we realize that our people needs to fight and defend them. We support our people to fight and defend them. But if that reason ceased to exist and the Cameroon military stop attacking, we are now condemned to also stop attacking, because that reason do not exist. If we are fighting for independence, and then along the way we had a plan, we are going to talk this, we'll get recognition, we'll get this, and then we meet the people who can recognize us, and they tell us it is not possible. Then we are now, by our own conscience, have a duty to ourselves, our God, and humanity to step back and say, okay, this goal is not attainable, so we have to change our method or change our demands. That is what we do. That is patriotism. That is the struggle. We must adapt. If we are fighting and that the government is not negotiating, and then the government comes to negotiate, we are condemned to take it seriously. But if we just say we want liberation by force and then we don't even have the force, that means we become now an extremist organization. And that is what has happened. So this is not an indictment of the Ambazonian struggle as a whole. It's an indictment of a group that have turned and by their own choice chosen and embraced extremism. When Lucas Asu came to announce the public execution of those 3 individuals in Gozang, he told our people, and indirectly all the members of the AGOFC who listens to them, because to be a member you have listened to them, you cannot say you never listened to them, that it was a policy. It was something that reflects on what that organization and AGOFC was doing. And there was evidence. We provided more than sufficient evidence to them personally and publicly. The human rights organization even called Lucas Asu and interviewed them, and it is publicized that those individuals were never part of any black legalism. On the contrary, they were actually working for us. The prince in that village helped us set up a meeting where headquarters came there at his risk to help resolve the problem between ADF and the TTA. A person that I personally recruited. I have received that. I've sent money to that guy. So he was actually somebody working for Ambazonian. But because you people want to send a message of terror to scare people into submission to your will, you go and do this demonstration of executing them. Those are human lives. So if you were a member of the ADF, after you saw those horrific videos, you must have had time to think about it and confront the ADF leadership and tell them that this evidence we are seeing on social media, what about the evidence provided by Human Rights Watch? It is a credible information. They say that these people were innocent. They contradicted your idea that they were held in investigation for so and so years. And Ayamba, who works in the United Nations in Europe, he knows better. He called me and I explained to him the truth. But they choose by their own choice to stay there with Ayabacho. Even when I explained to them why I have to resign, they sided with me, they understood me. But when I left, they choose to stay with Ayabacho and embrace extremism. They know what Ayabacho would do. And he did it because he was doing those things before I joined them. Even when they agreed that I would come there as a spokesperson and agree to listen to my ideas, and they stopped most of their policies. Yes, there was the attack there were some crimes that were committed when I was with them, but I contradicted, I argued with them and I said, no, we cannot do this, we cannot do this, we can't do this. And when I saw that it becomes like impossibility, especially when we went to negotiation, I had to resign. So anybody of good faith in the AGOFC, the guy who runs their TV channel, I've once put his picture out there. And I warned them. I love that guy. His mother is one of my strongest followers. I've warned them. Some of their family members call me and say, talk to them. Lucas Asu, you people go and send people to even burn my house. If you could do that to a friend, Ambazonian, imagine what they were doing to other people. Imagine what they were doing to other people. They even went to the extent of having a list of people in the diaspora who have money. They were bringing it in the group there to share it. I called Ayabacho. I called Benedict Kuah. I say, my brother, is this thing right? Are this not the same thing we were accusing Sako? Now you are doing it in the AGOFC. So it was just too much. Nobody in the right sense was supporting this issue. The core members of the ADF who really run the show, you know that, I don't want to be calling their names, but we know for sure that their electronic devices have been discovered. So there are evidence there. The electronic devices of the soldiers also, probably the Cameroon government will likely, but I doubt whether they will involve those, go to that extent, because it might destroy the credibility of the case if they are working with the Cameroon government in any shape or form, or with any other Ambazonian personality as well. But we know that victims have testified. So this is a great day for all Southern Cameroonians who are worried about kidnapping for ransom, because these people have legitimized kidnapping for ransom. A tax system that was meant to fight against the kidnapping for ransom, they came in, took it and give it as a blank check for kidnapping for ransom. The main people that were supporting this kidnapping for ransom, burning of taxis, attack against our own people, attack against SDF. They fought the body of John Fundi. Their problem is not something that anybody is making up. It's evidence that are there in front of our eye. Even in interview, they refuse to be gentle and soft on our people. So anybody who is worried about kidnapping and for ransom should be very happy, knowing that this is going to stop a lot of those things. So for JK, who is asking for massacre of our people, for Thomas, who was calling for massacre of our people, Sikor Johnson and those people, he also have called for those excessive lockdown with no reasons. Aringwa, who called for the assassination of people, know that you will be held responsible. We have seen real Ambazonian fighters today in the mountain lands carry out real operation that falls within a conflict of war. Because it's war, people have to fight and defend themselves. They have to carry out operations. But even in war, there is a line that you don't cross. There are consequences. And if you think that it is a war, so they can do everything, reality check. The chickens are coming home to roast. Now you know that when they are accusing people, it's not just it's not that have put these two people today in prison. It is their real crimes. You cannot be in a group, they go and carry public execution, and then you are still there. Even if you are there, you must condemn it. And there must be evidence to the public, because you also have a duty to send out a message to the people on the ground that such activities are not really right. If you go and look at my wordings, when I talk about I was a spokesperson there, but I don't just go out there and justify such things and send out message that can replicate those things. I always tell people, do not target civilians. Do not target civilians with live bullet, or with deadly force, or with the purpose of terrorism. No. There are always an alternative. There are always choice. So this is not a condemnation of the whole Ambazonian struggle. So all those who are in the Ambazonian struggle for the right reason, this can never affect you. If you were supporting the AGOFC with money when these crimes were not committed and you withheld your money, you are good. But if you knew these crimes and you went there, you didn't even confront them, you just support them blindly, there is a likelihood that they'll come after you. When I was telling you people, when I was warning you people, I say things, it takes 2 years for Ambazonia to come around it. 2 years, which is very sad. But we have never said anything and it doesn't come to pass. So Lucas Asu, Shea Womeleng, Ayamba, the guy in Ireland, Julius Nee, that I have chosen to call woman rapper, Julius Nee, Mama Wali, the list go on and on and on. You people are in a danger list. You refuse to hear my advice, even though I be with you people like a family. What hurts me the most is the prospect of Mama Wali. You also have Iron Lady. Even Immaculate face risk because of her contribution, material support of terrorism. You cannot see terrorism going on like that and you continue to support it. No. without rejecting it. None of these people rejected those activities privately, or publicly. None of them. None of them. So, those who are running the ADF have seen the consequences. This struggle was never about violence. It was about self-preservation, the preservation of our people's dignity and their rights. Those who violate their rights. Remember when the attack took place in Ekondo Titi? I told our people that not in our name. Not in our name. You cannot go and do those things in our name. So, I have to go.